Hi, everyone. Um, I wanted to come on here and go live by myself for a minute to talk a little bit about the changes that you may have noticed and the interviews that you may have noticed, and give you some context for what is swirling in my world and why it matters, especially for spiritual women today, especially for those who are, leading in spiritual spaces or connected to the Magdalene. I think you might find this whole journey quite fascinating. To my previous clients, to some of those of you who are considering being clients with me, I think you also may find this interesting. I really have had a big shift in what is really meaningful and important to me. And I have really been focusing more on inclusivity and expanding whose voices are centered. And it's really evolved my work. It's evolved a lot of how I'm showing up, how I'm leading, the clients that I'm working with over the last year. And Modern Day High Priestess and Embracing Your Arrows both just launched. Super beautiful volumes. Both of them hit international Amazon bestseller. Modern Day High Priestess launched in January. Embracing Your Arrows launched in February. And both of those books were extremely diverse. And that was for a reason. I made a big shift in my company, and I prioritized voices of minorities and voices of those who have been historically marginalized in their representation. And the books are incredible. The stories are rich and they are so varied and different. And working with these people has just been really, really beautiful. It's been an amazing experience. But, I launched the retreat, this Magdalene Pleasure Pilgrimage in September, and it's big for me. It's been a big learning curve because I've never hosted an international retreat. And I have a big team helping me to execute this so that it is a deeply immersive, beautiful, inclusive experience. Every detail has been thought out in terms of how we're holding the space at the retreat. But as I started marketing this retreat, some new insights kind of came through. And that was when I recognized my own bias in my marketing, recognizing that the Magdalene space and these spiritual spaces that we're cultivating around the Magdalene have been primarily white centric. I had several checkpoints of like wake up calls of like, oh, this is only white people talking about Mary Magdalene. What is this? And why is this? And recognizing that even in my own work, I have not adequately kind of deconstructed this element of white spirituality. I don't know what I'm doing. I am so new to these conversations, and I am the first to say, like, I may say something offensive even in this live, and I'm just always learning. It's not about doing it perfect. It's just about showing up, right? But I had not realized that my lens was so narrow, and that my set of lived experiences when it came to how I related to spirituality and even how I related to Mary Magdalene and how I relate to myself is filtered by my white experience. And I don't say that as like a thing of guilt or shame or, anything like that. It's just that it's only one perspective. It's just one perspective. And I am recognizing how often this is showing up in the Magdalene spaces. And that's when I started widening the conversation. That's what made me create the Magdalene interview series and the Black Madonna Codes conversation. So if you haven't heard about those or you haven't seen all of this stuff that I'm doing, I'm having conversations with women. I'm inviting strategically inviting women of color because I want to hear their relationship with Mary Magdalene. And I'm also inviting white women, of course, because it's not decentering whiteness. It's not about removing white women. It's just about recognizing that our perspective isn't the only perspective. And this matters when it comes to spirituality. And I have more to say about that in a moment. But I've been trying to just widen the conversation. And so I've been interviewing all kinds of women and different lived experiences and different ways of relating to Mary Magdalene. And it's been so eye-opening. And also with the white women having conversations about, are we borrowing from other people's spiritual traditions, and how are we creating right relationship with those things, which is something I am literally like, still in this like uncomfortable practice with right now around like the nuance and what does it really mean to create right relationship and some of those things. And so and then we're creating the Black Madonna Codes, which is a second kind of interview that is more of a dialogue, a conversation between Deidra Towns and I. Deidra's the co-host for the Magdalene Pleasure Pilgrimage in September. And she and I have partnered together to have these conversations around the intersection between race and spirituality. And I find often in these spiritual spaces that women are saying things like, but we're all one. Why do we need to talk about race? Why does it matter? And I want to specifically speak to that. I love, like, why do we do spirituality? So we can access that place of oneness, because from that perspective, it is so much lighter and easier to get through some of the hard shit that we face in life, right? Like, I tap into that place and I'm like, okay, like suddenly I have perspective. Things feel more beautiful. I have the capacity to hold on to hope even when things look bleak. And that space matters so much. But if we only hold that space, we ignore the stories and lived experiences of so many people, because race is a thing. It has been created. It is not something that has existed from the beginning of time. This sense of difference and separation because of our color, that is an invented thing, absolutely. But it has been invented, and it has done real harm, and it has separated our lived experiences. And so how people experience life and how people experience spirituality is going to be different based on their culture and based on their lived experience and based on their skin color. And as a white woman, if I am not willing to listen to and hear those other perspectives, I run the risk of becoming like an elephant in the room where there's no space for those experiences. And that's what I've had to kind of humbly realize, is that if I'm only speaking about spirituality in the way that I relate to it, it leaves no space for people of color to share their lived experience. And I recognize, I mean, I've been in the online space teaching and coaching and running business and doing all kinds of stuff, creating communities and things since 2015, I think. Anyway, a long time. It's been a long time. And I often would wonder, like, why I didn't get to have more interaction with people of color. I would just sit and wonder, because for so much of my adult life, I had not looked outside of my own perspective. And it's taken a lot for me to kind of get to this place of like, oh, I can do this work and I need to do this work. And it's in integrity with my values for me to do this work. And so I just share that to say that I haven't done this well, and I'm learning and I'm doing better. And it really matters. And I think when we talk about the Magdalene space, like, what a shame when we talk about who Mary Magdalene is and was, what a shame it would be to only have such a narrow perspective of her and such a narrow access to her. When I think about Mary Magdalene, I think of a few different things. For one, we don't exactly know what her lineage was. We don't exactly know what color she was. We don't exactly know what culture she came from. I've heard basically three theories debated. One is that she was white with red hair. One is that she was Middle Eastern, and one is that she was Black from Egyptian lineage. And we don't exactly know. We have some things. There's a lot of debate. Some people might hear this and debate the shit out of me on it. It's okay. I'm fine to hold space that all are true in some capacity. But so the very fact that we debate over her race says to me that we need to talk about race when it comes to Mary Magdalene. We need to talk about lived experiences from multiple cultures. Because that tension exists just when you bring her up. So how do we be with that as spiritual women? How do we hold space for this nuance and this multiple perspectives that, like, how could they all be true? Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? Does it really matter which one is true? I sit in a space where I'm like, I think that what really matters is how we're holding ourselves, and how we're holding love, and how we're holding and being in relationship with others. The other thing I think about with Mary Magdalene is that she carried a bunch of spiritual traditions, just like many of us today. She lived in kind of a melting pot of spaces: Jewish mysticism, Egyptian mystery schools, other Middle Eastern practices, all kinds of things that she carried. She carried all these spiritual traditions, and some of them I don't think were even ones that she belonged to, things that she was trained in and taught in, just like we are today. And at her time, race was not a construct. And so how did she relate to others? How did she hold space for others' perspectives? And I think there's a lot we can learn from her about that. And now today, how do we hold our spiritual practices? Creating right relation in some of these things, in a way, I feel like very behind, because I've spent the last 15 years seeking peace and healing through any means necessary, basically abandoning the like typical American path, I would say, that Western medicine and all that stuff, and just and then even the religion that I was so deeply ingrained in as a source of healing and peace and happiness and harmony. I'm just like running towards anything that could bring me any kind of peace. And in that process was messy, was really, really messy. And now I get to go back and examine, like, how do I actually be in right relation with the smokes that I use, the herbs and things like sage, for smoking a room. How do I be in right relation with the traditions that have carried those practices? And what does that really mean to me? How do I be in relation with using crystals, with using essential oils, with doing yoga? Like, these are the questions I'm asking myself. And I don't have all the answers by any means. But I think that as white women, if we're not asking ourselves these questions, then we have a lot of potential to do a lot of damage. And so, anyway, as you can see, I feel very passionately about this. I have actually kind of gone on a couple more tangents than I meant to. And what I think really matters, and what I have literally heard from women of color, from multiple women of color, is direct feedback that they have felt repelled by Magdalene spaces because they don't see themselves reflected and they don't feel included in the narrative. And so when I look at that, I'm like, I have responsibility here to like do something different with this. When I launched the Magdalene Pleasure Pilgrimage, I saw in my mind's eye lots of women, lots of, different backgrounds. I mean, not lots, it's a small space, 15 to 20 women is who will be on the retreat with us, but lots of different backgrounds coming together, sitting in circles, sharing our wisdom, sharing our stories, and just being deeply celebrated in who we are. And what I didn't realize is that, like, I'm kind of being a pioneer in the space, because there's not a lot of spaces where there's a lot of diversity in relation to Mary Magdalene, which I find so fascinating, because it's not a religion. It's not a set way to live. It's definitely not a cult. She's an archetype, and she's a lived woman, and we get to see ourselves reflected in her. And so this should be a space where we all get to come together and deepen into our own inner wisdom, and fill up and replenish our cups, and fill up with our well full and running over, so we can go back into our work in the world and make the impact that we came here to make. So I want to say that, these conversations have been really fun. I hope that you will tune in. You can go watch replays of all the Magdalene interview series on YouTube. And it's been amazing to witness some women in practices with reciprocity and right relation, and how they're living that out in their day-to-day lives. And that's been really beautiful. It's also been really beautiful to hear different perspectives on Mary Magdalene from all different cultures and backgrounds. And we haven't even had 10 full episodes yet. So there's many more to come. And I'm really excited about, we're still calling in individuals for the show. So if you watch all the way through to now, we'd love to have you on the show. If you have a story in relationship to Mary Magdalene, and you're willing to talk about expanding this conversation wider, and intersecting spirituality and race. And tomorrow is the first episode of the Black Madonna Codes. And Deidra and I are excited because, we kept having these conversations in the creation and curation of the space for the in-person pilgrimage. And we kind of both realized, wait a second, like, why are we keeping these conversations to ourselves? We should just be having these conversations live and including others, because it matters so much. And I'm just really excited. I hope that you will tune in. The Black Madonna Codes will be every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. I want to make sure I was doing my math right. And that will be every week. So we'd love for you to tune in with us for a half an hour every week. And the rest of the Magdalene interview series are being held, all across the board. Always here. You can see them here on my Facebook, and you can also always see them over on YouTube. I just feel a lot of gratitude. I feel a lot of responsibility as well, to live more in integrity with my own values around all of this. And I feel so much enthusiasm and passion about the space that we're curating for France. Like, I know the vision that I'm seeing, and I don't think it's random. And I think that if Mary Magdalene is a spirit and she has powers and capacity, that she's also helping. And more importantly, I have received such a enthusiastic response to expanding these conversations and speaking in this way, that I think it's time. It's past time that we have these conversations, So again, I don't share any of this to act like I'm some kind of teacher on diversity or inclusivity. I'm just a person, and as usual, I'm going through a thing, and I'm going to bring you into it. And if you want to come along, you could be having your own experience with with really, reaching out and expanding your heart and your reach and your capacity to create inclusive spaces. And if this has touched something in you, I'd love for you to comment in the comments below. I'll always check the comments even after I have finished this, and you can also DM me. And we'll see you starting tomorrow on the Black Madonna codes. Thanks, everyone.